peace, unity, love, and having fun. I am hip hop, expressing and manifesting myself as eternal, God coach, divine, EGC, divine. I am the watcher, hip hop intellectual, scholar, educator, MC, artist, deep thinker, thought leader, all that. I want to talk today about the maturity of hip hop. But first, let me read from the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. The first principle. Hip hop is a term that describes our independent collective consciousness. Ever growing, it is commonly expressed through such elements as breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. Wherever and whenever these and future elements and expressions of hip-hop culture manifest, this hip-hop declaration of peace shall advise the use and interpretation of such elements, expressions, and lifestyles. Street knowledge. They got it here as the seventh element in the gospel of hip hop. The Zulu Nation always called knowledge the fifth element. You got the four core elements. And in the Beyonders, we named the DJ first, who's the backbone of the culture. DJing, breaking, MCing, graffiti art. Then that fifth element, knowledge and understanding, street knowledge, knowing the ledge. However you want to phrase it, the fifth element represents knowledge, which is the foundation of all things in existence. By the way, peace to the gods and earth. And I also want to send a shout out to the Hip Hop Beyonders movement and a shout out to the Hip Hop Bridge Builders. Salute, Minister Server. And shout out to the Temple of Hip Hop in the whole Zulu Nation. Thank you for your work. Okay, I did a video a couple of months ago shouting out all the pioneers of the knowledge element. Okay, but that brings me to my topic, because I'm noticing in a lot of hip hop circles on social media and around the way, the conversations are staying musical. They're stuck on the MC aspect of it. And it's not even the MCing that's being discussed as a element dealing with the quality, how to rock a show and all that. It's mostly on the rap aspect. The rapper. A lot of rappers are are the subject, not involved necessarily, the subject of discussion. The reason why a lot of people think hip hop is dead is because it's not because of the music that's out. It's not because that the rap is not on the charts. It's just that the main subject of conversation is rap shit. Now, what I mean by that is mostly who's the better rapper? Who was the top 50 rapper? Some magazines and websites come out with this top 50 rappers of all time. Okay. Something I really stopped paying attention to, because I don't think a lot of these corporations, I don't know who's putting these lists together, and I don't know how they're determining who's the greatest rapper of all time, but this is always the subject of conversation. Now, don't get me wrong. I have these conversations. I'm a big proponent of the top 5 question. What's your top 5? And that's a good icebreaker. It's a good hip hop icebreaker. Shout out to Chris Rock, because that movie was pretty good. That was a hip hop cultural movie. And the main point of the movie was about the question of the top 5. Your top 5 favorite rappers or MCs of all time. Your personal. It explores something about ourselves when that question is asked. But we still have a tendency to be stuck on the hip hop element. The rap element. As we can see, according to the Temple of Hip Hop, the Hip Hop Preservation Society, there's 9 elements. Okay. I also think there's more elements, but the 4 basic elements that I just named, come with the 5th element, and that is knowledge. And I noticed that we hardly build on the knowledge aspect. Now, I seen a news report today. It was from a hip hop site. I think it's called According to Hip Hop. Shout out to them. There is a article stating that KRS-One made a statement that humanity came from the water. And they also said that he said that Europeans created civilization. I've heard these theories before, but it seems like the way it was shared, the person that shared it made it seem like KRS-One is talking crazy. For those of us that grew up on KRS-One, like myself, this has always been him. Because the idea of him being the teacher or the philosopher, I think very deeply, is to talk about deep thought subject matters like this. Whether I agree or disagree, or whether you agree or disagree. Hip hop has always had these kind of conversations that dig deep into the existence of life, whether it be spiritual, theological, scientific. Hip hop was always in that. Well, we always had our own conversations and building on that. The 5% Nation had ciphers where they just building on the knowledge on the 120. Okay, Hebrew Israelites have ciphers in the community talking about the Bible, breaking down the Bible, showing what they see in the Bible. Nation of Islam does the same thing. The Nuwaubians. Shout out to all these groups. Okay, this is what the Zulu Nation would do. They had something called the Infinity Lessons, where they're building on these subject matters. This is part of the knowledge element. And one of the reasons why I think people ignore the knowledge element, besides the immature mindset, that is because of the excommunication of Afrika Bambaataa for reasons that we're not going to get into. And so him and the Zulu Nation were one of the main people pushing the knowledge element. Now, in today's hip hop world, people barely even build on the knowledge element. when it was a normal thing in hip hop culture. See, it wasn't just partying and bullshitting. It wasn't just getting on the mic and rocking the crowd or getting in the cypher spitting your rhymes. A lot of the time, especially with the MCs, when the MCs spit their rhymes, they're spitting stuff that they read about and they built about with their peoples. All this goony goon goon stuff that we hear, the shoot 'em up, the I sell coke rhymes, and the I do drug rhymes, and I get drunk, and I make baby mother rhymes, or I have several baby daddy rhymes. This is a corporate investment behind that, but it's not really hip hop. Not going to say that it's not hip hop, but it's not real hip hop. Because real hip hop has a balance. Everyone has a story. Everyone has something to share and contribute. It's not just one-sided, where it's a bunch of hood-minded individuals on the nigger frequency. Rest in peace, the Truth Minister Paul Scott. The nigger frequency, appears to be running hip hop, and it's just an illusion. It's what the corporations invest in, but it keeps the subject matter on the hood frequency, the hood mentality frequency coming from a lot of these rappers, and it keeps us talking just about rap, or we can't go beyond the music. Even going back to this whole who started hip hop thing that happened last year or something. Ooh, Puerto Ricans weren't there at the beginning, or Jamaicans weren't there at the beginning. It was always African Americans. And like I always say about this discussion, which should have been a respectful dialogue, not really a way to attack other groups involved. Shout out to the Latinos, shout out to the Caribbeans, and of course, shout out to my foundational Black African Adolf Friedman family that I'm proudly a part of. But it should not be a way to disrespect other groups like it turned out to be. That Willie Lynchism needs to go. There's no place in hip hop for Willie Lynch's ideology. But that whole conversation, I kind of digress. That whole conversation was focused on the music aspect. It didn't go past the music. One person, y'all know who it is, who is a iconic MC. He even went as far as to say, forget about graffiti and all that. I don't even know where that came from. It's always been about rapping and DJing. So now he turned the whole conversation from a cultural conversation into a musical conversation. And I think he did that to better his argument. I don't respect that. Y'all, I think a lot of y'all know who I'm talking about, but I can't rock with that. Now all of a sudden and I'm noticing this is a thing too. They're taking away elements. There are people that are trying to make certain elements irrelevant. The billionaire icon, you know who he is, got up on a upscale magazine interview and started saying that he's saying something about pillars, not elements, and nobody really does graffiti. It just messes things up. Okay, that's not hip hop at all. Okay. Then he mentioned breakdancing as no one does anymore, I think. And then I think he said something about beatboxing. Now, see, now the industry seems to be trying to change the conversation so that all these other elements don't matter because they don't have control over these elements. They got control over rap. A lot of rappers still have investment behind them. The breakers don't have investments like that. The graffiti artists don't have investments behind them like that. There are graffiti artists that do their own thing and they get paid to provide their artwork. There are breakers that still perform and do things, but there's no corporate investment, as far as I know, behind it. Correct me if I'm wrong. The rappers have corporate investments, and now they're making these rappers say things so that the younger generation who are listening to them and look up to them will believe what they say. Jay-Z don't speak for the culture. He doesn't. He's a dope MC, of course. Nothing to do with his MC skills. But he don't speak for the culture. He can't say that something is out of style and not really hip hop anymore. He can't say that. Who says that? He can't say that. Okay? Does he even know about, I wonder if he even knows about the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. And you're right, he may not care. And a lot of you may not care. But for those who are really about hip hop culture, real hip hop heads I'm talking to, for those of you who don't care about the culture, I'm not talking to you. In fact, you can kindly not listen to what I'm saying. You can log off of this video. I'm talking to the real hip hop heads. Real hip hop heads only. The Hip Hop Declaration of Peace is very sacred to who we are. And it's only going to be taken serious as we take it. If we're not taking it serious, no one else is going to take it serious. We have to be the ones to enforce that. We have to be the ones to push that. It was recognized by the United Nations in New York. Is recognized hip hop as a culture of peace. We are brothers and sisters who push peace. That's why when I greet people, I say peace, whether they're friend or foe. I always say peace. It's my number one greeting. I've been saying this since the 90s. Now, I know what I'm saying. Before, I was just saying it because it was a saying. Now, in my mature age, with my mature mind, I know why I'm saying it. Whether it's peace, shalom, hotep, assalamu alaikum. Okay, I know why I'm saying it. Because I sincerely believe in peace, in pushing peace. You want to know what kind of hustler I am? I hustle peace. I push the peace. Peace before war. If peace cannot happen, then war has to happen in order to maintain that peace. But peace before war. This whole Hip Hop Declaration addresses a lot of the things we're facing. And one of them right now that's very concerning is the topics. In the Hip Hop Beyonders, we build on deep topics, whether it be the history of the culture, the history of people, whether it be African people, European people, Latino people. You know, we build on the science, theology. We build on these deep thinking subjects all the time during our hangouts. Shout out to the Beyonders once again. And also shout out to the Hip Hop Bridge Builders once again. There are groups out there that are still pushing that work. I've been on podcasts, and this is very interesting, where the knowledge element has been questioned. Some people say it's really not an element. Once again, people talk out the side of their necks without having any proper knowledge, on what this culture is about. They'll say things like, the knowledge is everything. Knowledge ain't really an element. They also said something about beatboxing. One particular person said nobody beatboxes anymore. Yeah, I mean, respectfully, I don't know what planet he was on, but we see people beatboxing here. I do. No, I mean, I'm not saying I beatbox. I've seen people beatbox. Some people say, beatboxing, no one beatboxes anymore. They did that back in the days. Mind you, this is a generation this is a GXer that said this. I'm like, wow, you really listen to the bullshit out there, don't you? Okay, but maybe in his area, they don't. Remember, it's also a geographical thing. If you live in a certain part of the world, the country, or wherever, the continent, they may not beatbox over there. So you don't see it in your backyard or on your front door. You're going to think it doesn't exist anymore, but the world is big. It's filled with beatboxers. There's even beatboxing competitions. And this is what I'm talking about. The reason why people can say that there is no beatboxing because they are not checking for it. You go online, you type in beatboxing, you will come up with beatboxing battles and competitions that are all over the world. In Europe, in Australia, probably Asia too. They're all over. I've seen documentaries on them recently. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We're stuck on rap. And don't get me wrong, I love rap. Of course, why would I not like rap? But rap is the only thing, is not the only thing in hip hop. Okay, there are b-boy tournaments, b-girl tournaments. There are graffiti, exhibits and stuff that happen. Graffiti battles still happen to this day. Shout out to ALA, still doing their thing, by the way. Shout out to Pro Black. Shout out to my brother Quest, Beyond the Beyond Quest. Shout out to all the graffiti artists. Oh, by the way, just the shout out to the Snuffinator. Hold up, I got this from the Snuffinator. Shout out to the Snuffinator. They did this dope piece. Okay. New England all day. Massachusetts. Yeah, we got some dope artists here. So there's more to hip hop than just rap. We just read the Declaration of Peace. That's why I focus on that one, to go over the elements. Because we're only stuck on one element. And we're not all together building on that one element. Because when it comes to MCing, it's deeper than just record albums. There are a lot of MCs out there that do not have albums out. But they're dope performers. They're dope lyricists. They do ciphers. They do open mics. They perform. Some of them just write. And they just can write dope stuff. Some of them write books. Some of them, I know an MC who personally uses his lyrical skills to sell to corporations and help them sell products, and they pay him for it, which I thought was dope. Shout out to Smoke. Good dude. Good dude. Boston. By the way, that's not a gang sign. This means Boston. Okay, every time you see this, it means Boston. It's not a gang sign. That's also street knowledge. You got to explain what you do. So when y'all see me doing this, that's a Boston thing. It's a Boston greeting. It's a Boston greeting. So it's the B, the beam. And we usually greet each other like this, the threes. It's a Boston thing. If you're not really from Boston or around Boston, you wouldn't understand what that is. So I'm explaining to you what that is. Only Bostonians do that. Only Bostonians in the inner city do that. Okay, so that's just to explain what that is. I'm not throwing up no gang sign. Don't accuse me of throwing up any gang signs. Nah, I don't rock with that. The only colors I represent, RBG. Revolutionary but godly. That's me. Okay, so shout out to Dead Prez. So but we have to broaden the ciphers in hip hop. Let me hit home real quick. To those of you who like to say that there's no knowledge element, or that knowledge is not an element of hip hop, or only go up to the 4 elements, because there's a lot of people that just stick with the 4 core elements: DJing, MCing, breaking, graffiti art. Okay? There's a lot of people that stick to the 4 elements and overlook, the 5th element, knowledge. Or some just acknowledge beatboxing and other elements without even thinking about the knowledge element. So for those that want to, put the knowledge element aside, right? And you call yourself a hip hop head, even as a rap fan. Okay, let me tell you something. Without that knowledge element, hip hop ain't shit. I'm going to say that again. Without the knowledge element, hip hop ain't shit. It's nothing. You're just a bunch of kids. I don't care how old you are. You're just a bunch of kids rapping or spinning on your back or writing on walls or scratching up records. That's all you are. You're just a bunch of kids causing disruption without that knowledge element. Without that knowledge element, all our elders from back in the days who had a problem with hip hop, they're right. Without that knowledge element, they're right. All those right-wing conservatives that attack hip hop, they're right. Without that knowledge element, they're right. So if you don't believe in the knowledge element, you're just some immature, grown-ass adult doing little kid shit. You don't know what you're doing. You're in a savage state, just doing what you're doing. Have no idea. You're like a little kid. You're like my 4-year-old son running around here just jumping on couches or writing on the wall, doing stuff he ain't supposed to be doing. He be asking you, why'd you do that? I don't know. I don't know. And really, even though we're like, what do you mean you don't know? We naturally say, what do you mean you don't know? They're actually telling the truth. A young child, they do things. They don't know why they're doing it. They're just doing it. Without that knowing, that knowledge, I don't know means I don't have any knowledge on what I'm doing. If you don't have any knowledge on what it is you're doing, there's no point in you doing it. You're just causing chaos. A lot of these YGs that believe they're YNs, the chaos they cause in the community, they really don't know what they're doing. Yo, man, what you shooting? What you shoot that? Why'd you have to shoot? Why'd you have to shoot for? And some of them be like, yo, because I'm real like that. But in their heads, they really don't know. If they're honest, they'll say, I don't know, man. I don't know. Y'all remember the Warriors? When, what's his name? With the Rogue, the Rogue gang, the ones who actually shot Cyrus. And Swan asked him, I can't think of his name. I think his name was Luther, the leader of the Rogue. Am I right or wrong? I don't know. Warriors, classic hip hop movie. That's another discussion. When Swan asked Luther, why'd you do it? Why'd you waste Cyrus? What was the first thing he said? I don't know. I just like doing things like that. That's what a lot of these little so-called wannabe gangsters say in the long run. Yo, man, why'd you do it? I don't know, man. I was angry. I don't know, man. I was drunk. I don't know, man. I was high. I don't know. My girl left me. I don't know. I just didn't like that dude. I don't know. I just didn't like that chick. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And that's what hip hop's becoming. A bunch of I don't knowers. Don't know shit. Don't know why you're doing shit. So if you don't know, you can't explain nothing. Hip hop doesn't exist. If without the knowledge element, hip hop doesn't exist. So if you don't believe in that knowledge element, you might as well stop doing hip hop and go do something else. Because you don't know what you're talking. You don't know what you're talking about without the knowledge element. How could you know without the knowledge element? Make it make sense. You can't. You can't make hip hop make sense without the knowledge element. That's the importance of the knowledge element. In fact, let's go according to the gospel of hip hop. Let's read what they have, the definition of what they call street knowledge. The study and application of ancestral wisdom. commonly refers to the basic common sense and accumulated wisdom of urban families. It consists of techniques, phrases, codes, and terms used to survive within the inner cities. It involves the ability to reason soundly with or without the ideas or validation of the traditional academic mainstream. Street knowledge is the accumulation of hip hop's cultural awareness. I'm going to read that again. Street knowledge or knowledge and understanding or knowing the ledge is the accumulation of hip hop's cultural self-awareness. In fact, I'm going to read that whole paragraph again. It involves the ability to reason soundly with or without the ideas or validation of the traditional academic mainstream. Street knowledge is the accumulation of hip hop's cultural self-awareness. Its practitioners are known as hip hoppers, as well as sisters, brothers, goddesses, gods, mothers, fathers, teachers, queens, kings, princesses, princes, lords, and divine. Oh, well, thank you. EGC divine. Yeah, okay. Contrary to the myth that knowledge is only accumulated in quiet, ordered, academic environments, much of hip hop's communal knowledge can be found with its comedians, poets, shout out to VCR, and authors. Hip hoppers learn and transfer knowledge through laughter and having fun. Streetwise, knowing how to survive modern urban life. Popularized by, now these are the icons that made knowledge something cool and very important, all right? Malcolm X, Dr. Cornel West, Martin Lawrence, Afrika Bambaataa, Clarence 13X, aka Father Allah, Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes, and Minister Farrakhan is officially a hip hop pioneer, hip hop's first minister. Minister Louis Farrakhan, Kwame Ture, Chuck D, Nas, Dick Gregory, one of my personal favorites, Chris Rock, Tupac Shakur, the Wayans brothers and sisters, Wise Intelligent, and others. You fill in the blanks. I think Professor Griff should have been in there, but and Minister Server, shout out. So I can go on and on. I almost named someone else. Let me not do that. I'll be here all day just name dropping people. I got a lot of people that belong in that, knowledge element. See, now that you have the definition of street knowledge according to the Temple of Hip Hop, which is the Hip Hop Preservation Society, this is what they teach. They teach the spiritual nature of hip hop. Okay, why would you not read the Gospel of Hip Hop and their explanation on the elements? Very important to check that gospel out. Okay, which includes the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace, but you can get that separately. Just type in Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. It'll come up on WordPress, or it'll come up on the Temple of Hip Hop website. You'll get it somehow. Okay, so this is important. Without that knowledge element, there is no hip hop. Okay, this is how we make hip hop something of value. This is how right now I'm able to explain what hip hop is. And a lot of artists in hip hop, they only know their element. They only know how to rap, how to perform, how to do albums. They don't know anything else. And a lot of times, and I'm talking even iconic, I'm talking even old school MCs. If only y'all knew, man, a lot of them don't really understand hip hop past them. Past the rhyme they spit, or past the album they did, or past the song they did, or past their performance. They don't know anything. They will tell you this. Listen to all these interviews. They don't care about the culture like that. So it's not just about pioneering rappers and iconic rappers and MCs. A lot of them don't really know nothing. I'm talking about the conscious ones too. They don't really know nothing about this culture like that. They only know what they know, and that's how to rhyme. A conscious rapper knows how to be an MC who's conscious. They know how to rhyme conscious stuff. A street rapper raps that goony goon goon stuff. A gospel rapper raps about Christ. They don't know further than that. You talk about, let's build on hip hop or the culture or hip hopia or the Declaration of Peace. But the Declaration of who? There are those of us that are really deep into this, that study this. This is what we do on our free time, on our personal time. We're looking up facts on hip hop history, hip hop spirituality, because there's a spiritual nature of hip hop. Okay, we studying the gospel, we listening to lectures. We're searching and researching and discovering things. We think about the facts of life and how hip hop is related to our life and where hip hop will be, tomorrow. Where it is at present, where it was in the past, where it will be tomorrow. And as I said before, the next 50 years is going to be about the knowledge element. The entertainment part, I think, is through. Will it come back? Of course it may come back. But right now, it's not it right now. The knowledge element is going to be the most important part of hip hop culture moving forward for the next 50 years. The first 50 years was celebrated by the pioneers who were rappers, mostly. You notice that the whole 50-year hip hop thing was mostly about rap music. Okay? They gave DJing a part, because a lot of the DJs were producing the beats. The breakers barely had a role. Graffiti artists barely had a role. But the next 50 years is going to be about the knowledge part of it. The next 50 years, the next celebration, whether we're here or not, is going to be on the knowledge element, because hip hop has to be properly explained and it'll be properly known. Once it reaches 100 years old, it'll be in its proper place and properly explained in a manner that is respectful. And the stuff that you're hearing today is going to be laughed at, is going to be mocked, and not going to be taken seriously. I'm talking about all the gossiping and all the stupid stuff that the rappers are doing. You'll see the role that plays. It's going to be about the knowledge element when all these other elements have to surround. Knowledge is the sun. So every other element is going to revolve around this element. Knowledge. Trust me, next 50 years. That's the goal. So when hip hop is celebrating its 100th year, the celebration is going to be really about what this cultural movement is all about. And hopefully that hip hop city that's supposed to be happening in Newark, New Jersey will be a reality. And my children and grandchildren will be living there, visiting there, with me or in memory of me, or with you or in memory of you. Thank y'all for listening. I am Eternal God Coach Divine. I am hip hop speaking as EGC Divine. I'll talk to y'all soon. By the way, long time no see. It's been a while. I've been busy. It's been a busy August, busy summer, but I'll be doing more. Peace and beyond.